Good morning, children. Let's continue with the revision of geography. Now, here we are going to revise population. Okay. Now, this is the population distribution map, which shows you distribution of population of India according to the 2011 census. Okay. Now, this is the dot method has been used to show distribution of population in India. Now, if you would have noticed that there is more population, or the population is dense along the North Indian plain. Okay, then that is UP, Bihar. Okay, then we have Bengal. Okay, then we find it's rather sparse in the northernmost part, that is Jammu. Okay, and you find along the northeastern part of India also you find population is sparse. Okay, so what could the reasons be for this distribution of population? Now, so from the map you would have seen there are certain areas where population is more and certain areas where the population is less. Okay, so the factors which affect the density of population are availability of land, fertile land. Okay, then flat terrain. Okay, then availability of water, availability of infrastructure facilities, roads, okay, transport and communication facilities, etc. Apart from that, climate also is an important factor. Okay, so before going into that, okay, let's come to this point, that is, why do we call population a resource? Now, population is a very important resource for the country. Okay, now the qualitative aspect of the population is important because it is essential for the economic and social progress of the country. That is, if the population is literate and healthy, we find it is an economic and social asset to the country. Okay, so this is a reason why we call population as a resource. At the same time, we find if you have more number of people who are in the younger age group, and at the same time, if the population is healthy, okay, we say it is an asset. It's an economic and social asset to the country. Now, according to the 2011 census, the population of India was 121 crores. And India is the second most populous country in the world. Now, when you come to land area, India occupies just about 2.41% of land area. But in terms of population distribution, we find it supports 17.5% of the world's population. Now, what about density of population? Now, in India, there are 382 persons living in per square kilometer area according to 2011 census. Okay, so imagine 382 persons living in per square kilometer area. Then, population is unevenly distributed. Okay, if you take, we have just seen that on the map, we found how distribution of population was uneven. There are various factors, for example, the physical features, the climate, land, whether it is in a flat area or whether it is a mountainous or hilly region. Okay, whether there is availability of water or not. Okay, so all these are the factors which affect the distribution of population. Now, if you take the metropolitan cities in India, for example, like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, okay, Kolkata, etc., we find population is more. This is because, factors, which are like, say, available, the climate being very, equable. Okay, in all these places, you find the climate is Chennai and Mumbai, for example, the climate is equable. Okay, or we find infrastructural facilities are very good. There's availability of water, etc. Okay, so these factors play a very important role in distribution of population. On the other hand, we find in the mountainous regions, or even say hilly regions, okay, or even dry desert regions where water scarcity is there, or where the climate is not favorable, we find density of population is sparse. Even in the dense forested regions also, the population density is very low. Okay, now come to the distribution of population in Brazil. Okay, now if you look at Brazil, you find there are more number of persons, living along the coastal regions, along the eastern coastal region of Brazil. Okay, and as you move further inwards towards the central or even the western part of Brazil, you find the population is very, very sparse. Okay, just look at that. When you compare that with India, you find the population is very, very sparse. Okay, now come to explanation of this part, that is the population of Brazil. Now, Brazil is the most populated country in the South American continent. Now, according to the 2010 census, Brazil's population was 19 crores, okay, and it ranks 5th in the world. And it is also 5th in the world with respect to area. Now come to the total land area occupied by Brazil. Now total land area occupied by Brazil is 5.6 of the world's total area, and it supports 2.7% of the world's total population. Okay, then what about density of population? Density of population is very, very low. Look at that. It's only 23 persons per square kilometer area. Okay, so density of population is very low, 23 persons per square kilometer according to 2010 census. Now, we just gone through the map. We saw that there were more number of people situated or say concentrated along the eastern coastal lowlands. That is roughly about 300 kilometers inwards from the coastal regions. We find that is the eastern coastal lowlands. We find more number of people are concentrated along these regions. Now this is because of favorable factors like fertile soil, agriculture can easily be carried out, and because of the presence of industries here. Okay, now as you move further inwards from the eastern part towards the interior part of Brazil, you find the population is sparse. In the Amazon basin, for example, you find it is very, very sparse. Now, what could the reasons be? Now, if you take the Amazon basin, you find the climate is unfavorable. Okay, and since this region is along the equatorial belt, this region gets plenty of rainfall, and hence there are dense forests, and these dense forests are highly inaccessible. So you find these are the very factors which are impediments or hindrances to development of human settlements. So you find human settlements are rather less along the Amazon basin. Okay, now let's come to the central part. Okay, if you take the central part of Brazil, you find the population is less, but along the Brazilian highlands, the population is moderate. Okay, so I suppose children, you have understood this lesson. Okay, in the next session, we'll revise, the various aspects of population. Okay, now here I have given you the pattern that you can expect in your semester. Okay, So you can expect questions from all these types. That is, choose the correct option. Then you have match the pair. Write whether the following statements are right or wrong. Then answer in one sentence. Then map observation. Map will be given. You are going to tick the correct answer. Graph observation. Okay, reading the graph and answering the questions. Give reasons and answer in brief. Okay, now from question 1 to question 6, okay, you just have to tick the correct option. Okay, from question 1 to question 6, you are going to only tick the correct option. Question 7 and question 8, that is, give reasons, answer in brief. Children, you will have to type out the answer. Okay, now here's this one brief answer, okay, that I've taken. Okay, this is from the same lesson, that is population. Okay, explain the similarities and differences between the population in Brazil and India. Now, this is a brief question, so you are going to type out the answer. Okay, then second is you're going to write these answers and points. Okay, if you don't write the answers and points, you won't get marks. So remember, you're going to write your answers and points. So I'm going to explain this. Explain the similarities and differences between the population in Brazil and India. Okay, so what are the similarities? Now, what are the factors which affect the population? Now, in both the countries you find, Brazil as well as India, you find various factors like, say, availability of land, the fertile land, physiography, climate, availability of water, etc. are the factors which are responsible for settlements. Okay, a settlement of population. Okay, so in regions where the population density is more, for example, say Chennai, Mumbai, okay, Delhi, etc., the population is more because of availability of all these factors of, okay, all these favorable factors. Okay, then in Brazil, for example, density of population is more along the eastern part of Brazil. For example, we have dense population in Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, etc. Okay, now what about differences? Now, remember children, I've already sent you the notes of this lesson also. So refer the notes. Okay, so what about the differences in the population? Now, if you take the regions along the banks of rivers, okay, for example, along the North Indian plains, where you have the Ganges, okay, you can compare the population density along the bank of the river Ganges. Okay, so here you find along the North Indian plain, again you find density of population is more because of availability of favorable factors. On the other hand, in Brazil you find along the say Amazon river, okay, along the Amazon River, we find the density of population is sparse because of dense forests, heavy rainfall, inaccessibility. Okay, and because of climate, unfavorable factors, unfavorable climate, etc., you find density of population, okay, is sparse. Okay, understood, children? So you're going to write your answers in points. Okay, so in the next chapter I'll again discuss some more questions so that you are familiar with your paper pattern. Okay children, thank you.